So if you guys are seeing this a little bit out of my comfort zone, we have a monitor here. We have Chris here. This is going to be a special episode because we have a live studio in the building. What a live studio does is literally they take their equipment, they go into somebody's either studio, home, wherever the recording is going to be taking place, and they literally make your space a production studio, right?
Yep.
And what's crazy about this right now that I'm like totally geeking out is that pretty much as soon as you're done recording the podcast, as soon as you guys are done shooting or talking, having that conversation in the podcast, you're pretty much ready to go to upload the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm a little.
Technically, we could be live right now. Like if you wanted to sign in to your YouTube account, we could do the first NOMAS live.
That's insane.
And like have people commenting on this and people, dictating the conversation and everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is live production right here.
So how many different podcasts have you done? For somebody else's platform?
For somebody else's platform. So like, I guess the question is like, how many clients have I had, or like?
No, for you.
For
your
for
own,
me?
Yeah, for yourself.
Like,
yeah. Ask
how
Chris.
many podcasts have I been on?
Yeah.
That's funny. We were talking about this. I was like, this is my first one? No. Technically, I think this is my fourth one. So I was on a podcast episode of a buddy of mine, Zeke's. I was on a podcast.
Bleep. We're going to bleep him out. No, just
so it's a show we produce called Zeke's World. He's a music video editor, and he sits down with his past like clients for music videos, and they'll like watch the videos over.
Gotcha.
Kind of talk about the day, things that were done, and then they'll see where the conversation takes them in terms of like they're obviously smoking and drinking, so like they'll just sometimes end up on YouTube watching really funny stuff. I was on another podcast of a buddy of mine's called Honor the Vision. Most recently, I did a double shoot day, my first double shoot day, where I invited Alberto Mendoza from the creative, Modern Creative. And he came over to my place. We recorded my episode, and then we recorded his episode afterwards. I think I told you, like, I changed up my setup at home. So I wasn't too happy with like the quality of his episode, but we did it nonetheless. Like I got it done. But yeah, you're my fourth podcast right now.
Nice.
So
I feel a little bit betrayed, man. Because when I went to your podcast, that was my first podcast, man. I felt like one of those chicks, like, well, what's your body count?
Oh, I love those the new memes with like have you seen the one with like, what if people walked around with their body count on their forehead type of deal thing?
What would yours be?
Oh, jeez.
Just
Trying to get me in trouble.
One, right?
One and done, bro. It's like only one time. The baby's in there.
Yeah, there you go. Just, man.
Waiting for Jesus.
Yeah, you're good at your freaking target.
Bro, she had an IUD in there.
Damn, straight shooter, man. I'm telling you, the freaking the shots work, man. All right, so for the people that don't know, literally because of you bringing pretty much your equipment, man, you're going to be the first sponsor for NOMAS podcast. I really appreciate you guys' time. And I also appreciate you guys having me on Copy and Steal, man. So if you want to go ahead and do your pretty much your spiel, and then I'll go ahead and introduce the podcast for NOMAS.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of spiel, just like the whole live studio spiel.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so
you're the sponsor, man.
Yeah, so this show is sponsored by a live studio. If you're looking to have exactly what you see here in terms of like camera angles, switching, logos and overlays, just go to bookalivestudio.com. You can book a discovery call. Like Angel had said, we travel to you, whether that is at an Airbnb, whether that is out your apartment or inside your dope ass side studio apartment that we're in, right? I was saying apartment, but it's side studio, space. We come to you, we set everything up. And you don't necessarily have to go live, but everything is recorded live. So once we're done, you have all your footage and you're that much closer to producing your micro content, because we all know that is where the money is made. That is where the funnel starts in terms of getting people to your show. And the last thing I'll leave you with is we build shows around business goals. Our goal is to build you a tribe rather than just get you random followers. Like, we're here to build a show around whatever your business goal is, whether you're selling a service, an expertise in something. We want to help you be as creative as possible so that it's more than just a conversation.
Right.
So, yeah.
So before we get started with your journey, I want to get your input because I really like what you just said, right? That you want to build people's platform with building a tribe, people that believe and know your story, who you are, right? But before the podcast, we were talking about that just me and Chelo recently have gotten a few TikToks and Reels that have taken off. And we finally reached the trolls, man. Oh, I got hate with one of my posts, and then Chelo experienced the hate. Actually, last night was the first time that she actually saw all the comments that she was getting, negative comments. And I was like, oh, man. But through all that negativity and some of that, sorry, we're fine tuning the studio right now. So, but through all that negativity, some positive comments here and there, we ended up getting some followers along the way. What's your input with that? Do you believe on going viral? Do you feel like, you know what, you try to stray away from that, or what's your input with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the overall goal shouldn't be going viral. You get me? Like the overall goal should be like building a show around something that you are really trying to sell, something that you want to be known for. I think where things going viral comes into play is more like when it comes to structuring micro content. You get me? Like there's a way to structure a clip in a manner that it stands best to succeed on its own. Yeah. You get me? Those are the moments where you want to come in and be like, all right, I'm not just going to choose like the time where we were drinking and like off camera to the clip. No, I'm going to choose the most exciting moment from the podcast to get the most eyes on this episode. Yeah. But when it comes to recording shows and long form content, I do not believe that the main goal should be going viral. Yeah. I think the main goal should be providing value to your viewer, whether that is education, entertainment, or edutainment, the you know, that mix in between. Right. So yeah, like I think it's mainly about building something that, you know, stands to, you know, benefit you in the long run, because it's a long journey. Like it starts with 1 viewer, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as long as you are saying the right things and your goal is to push people to like an end goal of your business or something like that, like you'll get those people that come in and rock with you and be like, hey, they'll turn into your customer. They'll turn into the next client that you want for micro content creation. Yeah. You get me? They'll turn into my next client for someone that wants a show. Now, you know, when it can get a little scary because some people will be like, oh, you don't want to go viral. That means you don't want things to be successful. No, I want things to be successful. I think I just want to build around a business goal so that if it doesn't hit success overnight, I'm not mad about it. You get me? Because that wasn't my goal. Yeah. My goal is to sell my business or service. Right. And it's a drop in a bucket. Right. You get me?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of this term, right? But the power of one. Mm-hmm. All it takes is one person that, you know, where they're rocking with you 100%, right? Let's say if you go live, that they drop whatever they're doing to see what Chris or myself is doing, right? And at times you look at that one and you're like, man, nobody's hopping on my life, but you're disregarding that one person that's taking whatever they're doing in their personal life to put eyes on you to see what you have to say.
Yep. And people get mad about those small numbers, and it's just like, bro, like, even if there was 20 people, if there was 20 people in here right now, we would not be able to breathe. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah, because it's small here?
No. Not at all.
Chris. Yeah. No, but you know what? And that's the part that I'm trying to figure things out, right? Because I feel like I know now what's going to take off on TikTok and on Instagram. Like right now, I think we're at a point right now that one of my posts is going to reach like 500,000. Mm-hmm. And then I also have other posts like Chelo's, myself, 200,000, 100,000. So I'm figuring out the recipe, but now I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional with my content. Like, okay, now I can get the views, but what is it that I'm trying to drive or take my viewers or that viralness too, that we can benefit or eventually get to potential clients or people to network with, right? I need to be a little bit more intentional than just the fact of going viral, right?
Yeah.
Because right now it's just pure entertainment, right?
And I think one of the ways like you can do that, like especially for your show, is like trying to devise a segment around your expertise. You get me? So creating micro content is a lot of like post production, but that doesn't mean that you can't sit here on on social right now and scroll through TikTok and devise a way where like you either find clips that you think do very well, and like we can break that down live. You can tell me, why is this clip so successful? Why? Because you know how to structure a clip. You get me? It could be either your past work or other people's work that you admire, that you're like, you know what? You know why this clip is so successful? Because it does this, this, and that. And it can drive the conversation forward, and people see your expertise in the space.
Right.
And then at the end of it, you hit them with and if you want to do your micro content, here's my link. This is where it's at. Let's connect those dots.
Exactly.
So,
yep, I agree with you. So that's the current point right now that I feel like, obviously I don't know everything, right? And you don't have control of what's actually going to take off, but I feel like I have some sort of the ingredients to go viral, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the route that I'm trying to go to, being a little bit more intentional, or whatever clips that I know that have the potential going viral, that I am able to clip something towards the end, right?
Yeah.
But enough of that. Before we get started with a little bit of your story, because I want people to have a feel and know a little bit of your story, where you started. Producer, can we throw in the NOMAS podcast intro?
Yeah.
Let's do it. This is the first time I have a producer or somebody behind the scenes, so this is crazy.
Are you ready? Welcome to NOMAS Podcast with Angel Houseman.
There you have it. So welcome back to NOMAS Podcast. I am your host, Angel Houseman. Today we have Chris. Even though you guys heard a little bit of what Chris does, I want to go ahead and dive into what Chris has gone through to get to the point to where he's at now. I honestly respect everything that you do. And like the first time that I went to your guys' space, I was blown away with your guys' equipment, the way that you guys have everything set up, bro. So if you don't mind going a little bit of backstory and how everything got started, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, like thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me when I hear people like respect what I do, because like I didn't start here.
Yeah.
Question: how far back do you want me to go? Do you want me to go like to where I came into San Diego, or like you want to hear like life, childhood trauma, like
whatever you want, man. Whatever you feel has been impactful to be in this current place right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just a little bit about me. I am born and raised. Technically, I was born in Spanish Harlem. I was raised in the Bronx. So I'm from New York City. Just I don't know. Just to summarize that all really quickly, like I got an opportunity to go to college. I ended up choosing the college that gave me the most financial aid. And I really landed in a really good design program. And I think that's where kind of all my creativity and things started. I guess you could take a step before that, because like growing up, like my father knew how to draw. He was very good at, still life drawing. And he went to, I don't know if you know, there's a famous high school in New York City, like they call them, I forget what they're called. They're like along the lines of like Ivy League colleges, but for high schools in New York City. So my dad went to LaGuardia, and then my mom was also creative. My mom was always like doing invitations for things, always playing around with different paper styles and textures and printing out, what I want to say, like posters and things for like weddings and venues and birthdays. And like, she was always building centerpieces. She was very hands-on with her creativity. So I was definitely surrounded by creativity growing up. I definitely got the opportunity to try different things in high school until I landed on graphic design. And I was just like, oh, okay, like this is for me. I went to a high school where I got a lot of opportunities to kind of like try things out. So I went to like a community college to try out graphic design. And that was when I was just like, oh shit, this is for me. This is what I want to do. Then, like I said, I got a chance to go to a college where literally low key, it was probably one of the best design schools in the Northeast. Shout out to Mark Fertig. He passed away recently. So just huge shout out to man. Like, he has changed the lives of everyone that has ever been in his classes. And honestly, I think, he's taught us all like the true meaning of design thinking and just explaining your ideas. He was very just like cutthroat, but in the best way possible. And I think he set us all up for success, because like I've taken things that I've learned from him and it's carried on to what I'm doing here. Like, this technically isn't graphic design, but there are tons of things that I do here that pull from that. You get me? I can trigger elements and things that I design myself.
Right.
And I just partner that with consistency and, the look and feel of things. And it all just kind of comes together. When I graduated, I thought I was going to like hop into like the design field. I thought I was going to be at an agency. And then I ran into the same trap that everybody else ran into, where it's like looking for a job, but you need 3 to 5 years of experience and they ain't giving it. You get me?
Yeah.
So luckily I did, I'm from New York. So when I came back home, my mother was living in the Bronx, and, the train ride was like 40 minutes for me to get into the city. So, you know what I mean? I just kind of went job hunting, and the world of startups kind of swallowed me whole. I was originally working as a like marketing intern for a startup. And then I was in like a WeWork space, and funny story, some guys were walking around as a part of like their own startup. They were building an app. And I remember like they poked their head into the office and they were like, "Oh, are you guys like a design agency in here?" Because like, I don't know if you've ever been to a WeWork. Everything's all glass. You can see into everyone's space.
What is a WeWork?
So WeWorks are basically like co-working spaces.
Okay.
And it's just like a space where people can go. You can either rent out a desk or rent out a space for your small startup to like, set up shop. And it's the equivalent of just like paying rent for an apartment, but you're paying rent for your business to kind of have a place to set up shop where you have like a PO box and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they were, everything is glass. You can see people like every like office is different from one other office. Like there'll be an office that just sells beef jerky and they have beef jerky on the walls. There'll be a office that they sell, leather shoes, and they'll just have leather shoes everywhere and things like that. So yeah, these guys, they thought we were like a design agency. My boss at the time kind of like barked at them away. Like, "No, we're not. We're a startup too. Like, he's just working on some stuff." And low key, I don't feel myself wheezing.
Yeah, I heard that.
How you call it? Low key.
Is it too cold for you?
No.
Yeah, you're
This
good?
is perfect.
Okay.
This is great.
Yeah.
They waited for me after work outside, and they just asked me like, "What do you really want to do?" And I just told them, I was like, "Look, like I want to be a UX designer," because at the time like UX was popping up, and there was a lot of money in it, and I saw the overlap of like what I knew how to do from a design perspective in terms of like logos and creation and just creating files. And I was like, I can create screens. Like I can create screens for mobile devices, and like you click the button here and it takes you there. So they gave me like a test project, did that for them. And then that was just like the beginning of the end, where it was just like I was working for my first job from like 9 to 5 and working with them from like 5 to 10.
Wow.
And just like busting my ass, showing them that I could do this. And I remember they gave me a job offer, and then I went back to my current boss and he gave me an even better offer. And I winded up turning it down because I really wanted to do this.
So you turned down
the existing guy who gave me more money.
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
okay.
it was substantially like more money. He doubled what they were going to give me.
Isn't that crazy that it takes for you wanting to leave in order for them to want to compensate you for?
Mm-hmm.
Why not compensate you for what you're currently doing at the moment, right?
Yep. Well, I mean, what I will say is like that startup, and I won't say the name of it to like keep it okay, but like that startup was literally like a company where a guy, he came from a wealthy family and they gave him $800,000 to start his first company. This was his first job as like a 30-year-old, man child, fucking, running an organization. And he didn't realize how talented I was. Like, he had me there working under the marketing girl, and like I was redoing their website, and like I was building package design for like microchips and things like that. But I really wanted to do software, and he had a software project that he was working on, but he was kind of under the spell of like another man child who was just taking his money, who was just like charging him to give him like black and white images of like, your button goes here and this stuff. I'm like, bro, I can make that come to life. Like, I can do that for you. So yeah, that's what sent me into, you know, actual being a UX designer. And I remember I was working, this one I'll talk about because I have like lovely memories of them. I was working for 3 guys that were all from Israel. They were all named Asaf. All different spellings of Asaf.
Okay.
And yeah, they had this app called Blip It. And it was just like a messaging app that kind of, it was a messenger where you could talk with friends and share places with friends. But what we did was we deep linked people to like information about places that you would send. And what that means is basically like we would surface up like Yelp reviews and Facebook reviews and any other things that we could get so that you didn't have to back up out of your phone to go into Google and search these things yourself. You get me? At the time, iPhone, this was probably like 4 or 5 days, 6 days. You get me? So the App Store wasn't that far along. Nowadays, all these things are built into Messenger where I can send you a link and like you can hop straight to the app and like get that full experience. But this was kind of before that. It was predating that. I was super excited about it. I was their everything guy. I was doing marketing in the morning, social in the afternoon. I was doing UX design towards the evening. And then later at night, I was just like preparing files for developers because all of our developers were like in Poland. So I was just preparing like documentation for them in regards to like, when you click this button, it does this. If the person doesn't have this information, you need this error state. If they do have this information, you give them the success message. Like lots of just like very top down thinking in terms of like how complex things can get. Like you don't understand like how many screens have to be made for like simple apps like Uber and things like that. Every state has to be covered. Whether, you know, you pick the wrong location, you get me, like everything has to be thought of and it has to be a tool for people.
That's
insane. It can't get in the way of how they use it. So yeah, that was like my life for a good solid, I don't know, I want to say like 2014, 2015, all the way to the end of 2020.
Okay. And you started there around what age, you said?
So it was like fresh out of college. Maybe it was like 21, 22.
Oh, you were young.
Yeah. So, I kind of was in that world for a little bit. Definitely had some ups and downs in the startup world. You know what I mean? I got laid off at one point. And I just realized that like the more I was working in that space, I kind of was working for companies that were called SaaS companies. And what SaaS stands for is software as a service. And it just meant that like I wasn't building mobile apps anymore. I wasn't building fun things to use and play with. I was building tools that were essentially people's day jobs. You get me? And when you do that, you have to be very black and white and, you know what I mean? Like basic with things because you can't afford to be creative and create the new Snapchat or something like that. You get me? Like, when you create mobile apps for consumers, you get to have a lot more fun because there's no expectation around things. There's no, you know what I mean? You can choose to make a button look like something funky. Whereas if you try to do that in the world that I was in, you're going against the grain.
Yeah.
You're changing up things. Like you have to have systems. A button needs to look like a button. A search bar needs to look like a search bar.
Yeah,
if you try to do anything different.
Yeah, you can't be creative, right?
Yep. Yeah. And basically like the more I went into that world, the more it just got a lot drier for me. A lot more just like, I just felt like I wasn't expressing myself. And the only way I was really, truly getting creative was in terms of like thinking of systems and how we can, you know, connect to a different piece of software to get data rather than having someone fill something out. That's about as creative as I could get. You get me? So when I came, I've always wanted to move to the West Coast. I don't know if I told you on our podcast, but like, growing up, I was a huge fan of Rocket Power. You ever seen Rocket Power as a kid? Rocket Power was a cartoon. I don't know if it was on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, But it was just like these West Coast kids, skaters, surfers, and like they lived in this beach town. But I love the life. I love the idea of just waking up in a beach town and just like
Yeah.
palm trees everywhere. And I don't know, the West Coast was always calling my name. And I had gone through, a small breakup, and I used the opportunity to come out here and just visit a friend of mine that I went to college with, and I kind of just fell in love with San Diego. First time I came, I just did it for visit. Second time I came, I was just seeing like, is it real? You get me? Did what I feel, was that real? And then once I confirmed that it was real, I was like, all right, third time I'm coming, I'm looking for an apartment.
Here in San Diego?
Yeah, here in
Okay.
San Diego. And that was around, the third time I came was the beginning of March. So it was like March 1st. I was here.
So let me ask you this. Now that you've been living in San Diego, do you actually live that life of being out at the beach, palm trees and all that? How much of that do you actually experience?
Yeah, I mean, so when I first moved out here, like I think I told you about my buddy's place. He lives in Ocean Beach, and like he lives that life.
Okay.
You get me? And when I came out here, like I was thinking in my headspace was like, let's have the best of both worlds. You get me? Like I'll move to downtown and like, we can chill downtown, stay in my place. We can go to your spot in OB, stay at your place. Like he lived in paradise. He literally 3-bed, 3-bathroom, 2-floor overlooking freaking the Ocean Beach Pier and the rest of San Diego.
Right.
And I found a really cheap loft in downtown. So, you know what I mean? I thought it was going to be dope, but literally the day I signed my lease, which was the 14th, the day after it was declared a pandemic. And that's when everything shut down.
Wow.
I was planning on going back home to like move my stuff over or like figure things out. And I ended up having to, thank to my mom and her husband, like they packed all my stuff up and,
Wow.
we found a moving company that at the time they were looking for work. So like I was able to move all my stuff from New York City to over here for $2,000.
Wow.
And I tell everybody that now, like for me, it was still expensive then, but like they're charging like $8,000-$10,000 for those type of cross country moves. So it just ended up working out that way. And to answer your question, like, no, I didn't originally live that life here of just like chilling and being by the beach. Now, more so, I do have that balance. Like I'm in Hillcrest now, so I'm a little closer to the beach. I'm not downtown. But yeah, like shit, we went to the beach this weekend. You know what I mean? It was a 10-minute drive. And we have a beautiful dog and like she gets to live that life. You get me? We get to go to Dog Beach and just like enjoy ourselves around other loose dogs and just like, that's the one thing I like about San Diego. Like everyone has dogs out here like Pokemon, bro. Like, they all got them. And they're pretty much accepted everywhere. So like, yeah, I'm slowly getting to the point where I'm able to live that life. But also now that I am a business owner, like I can't afford to do that every day. You get me? Before the kid was on the way, like our goal was to move to OB and kind of like get that life. Now that, the kid is on the way, I kind of want to build something with more structure and more security. So we're looking a little more like inland or even potentially closer to LA for better work opportunities.
Oh, really?
So yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? Like I love San Diego. I love the weather. The people that I've attracted here, you know what I mean? Like it's hit or miss. I would say like I definitely like there are people I meet like you where I connect with you and like I can tell we've like we don't have the same life, but like we have similarities in common. And like even if we don't have things in common, it's not like you get me? Like we're listening to each other, we're conversating, we're in this journey together. There have been some people that I've met in San Diego that are completely oblivious to life outside of their bubble, life outside of their struggle, and like thinking that their first world problems are the end of the world. And that part of San Diego, I definitely don't like.
So you feel like some of the people that you've met, they've lost touch of, I guess, the human side of like, or the basic life, I guess, events of just being able to connect with another person or human being. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I will say like, there are certain places I go to and it's just like, I can't I can't connect with people because like all the conversations they're having are like, oh yeah, I just put a down payment on my boat today, or oh yeah, you get me? Like I remember when I went this place when I was younger, and it's just like, I don't got those fucking stories. I grew up in a Section 8 household. Like I went to a high school where literally I was walking through body scanners and putting my bag into an airport scanner machine. And if you rang, they took you to the back and strip searched you. You get me? Like that's the life I grew up in. So it's just like, I'm very aware of the human struggle, and I love when people are real. Yeah. And, you know, they are their authentic selves in front of you.
Yeah. And how do you feel like, for instance, right now, it's just, at least for my side of you, you know, it's me and Chilo like doing this, you know, trying to stay motivated and working. Do you feel that, I think we talked about this earlier on the phone conversation. Do you feel at times that it's just you and Priscilla like against the world, or do you feel at times you have the support by other people? How do you feel about that now that even though you have a business up and running, do you feel that you're literally in a sense alone?
I wouldn't say alone fully. We have a community around us. Priscilla has her family out here. And I know that I have my family, you know, on the East Coast, and they'll drop anything to come out here and, you know, save me or do anything. Definitely, like, I think like when you start a business, like you're definitely in it, you know, by yourself. You're definitely doing your things. But what I will say is I have slowly but surely put together a creative community out here of like-minded, you know, business owners that are also building their own empires. You get me? And I consider you to be a part of that community now, where it's just like, I see you out here doing this, and like, I would love for you to meet the other people that I consider a part of my creative community. And I'll just shout them all out. Like people like Zeke Kitchen, who's doing his music video thing. We've got Daniel Dismute. Congratulations on your just wedding, but like he's doing everything with like directorial. We got my buddy Alex Wilson, who is, you know, playing with the laser cutter and creating custom apparel and just all these things. We have Manny and Claudia, which are in Barrio Logan. I fucking love Barrio Logan. They show up for each other. But Manny and Claudia, they run a clothing shop called Soloka, where they upcycle clothing, and everything is like anti-fast fashion. And everything is all one of one that they sell. I can't speak enough about it. They're true like OGs in the space. And then just recently, like we have, you know, people like Alberto, people like the Invisible Ponchos, which are just rappers in Barrio Logan that are just like being very fucking creative with the way that they perform, the way that they build their community around them. They have like a podcast network called, I think it's Platform Collection, where they work with other creators, and they have like all their podcasts go on that one YouTube channel. And that's something low key, like I like the idea of, but it just gets a little muddy when it comes to like trying to build out a podcast network. Cause
so what's your concept again?
So it's called Platform Collection. And the concept is, it's like a podcast network. It's like a show network, and everyone posts their show on the same YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
And what it does is it allows that YouTube channel to be twice as much active.
Right.
You get me? Like there's always stuff coming out from it.
So for instance, like I have NOMAS podcast, and then people would be able to come and shoot their podcast and upload it to the channel.
No, so like everyone, like it's not a space. They work with these people. Everyone's doing and filming their stuff themselves,
and they just upload it.
They just upload it to the same channel, and they get the network effect, which is like that channel has always got stuff coming out fresh on it.
You know what? That's what a lot of music channels, or let's say record labels, would do that, right? They would have their channel, their main channel, and different musicians would upload their music there. The benefit for those musicians was that they were going to get different eyes, right, into their, but it's just like super random, right?
Yeah. It all comes from like, I think like BuzzFeed is really good at doing that. They have so many different shows. Now they have like channels like Cut and Jubilee, even Barstool Sports. They have so many different podcasts that are a part of Barstool Sports. Yeah. And I think it only like, they definitely start to separate out once those audiences get big enough where they're like, all right, I want this show, but I want this show on its own channel, so that I could just watch that show. And that's a good problem to have. You get me?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's those were just like some of the people that I consider to be a part of my creative community out here.
Yeah.
Also Sam, shout out to Sam too from Honor the Vision, and
Nice.
Even J Pro and things like that. So
And you know what? That's crazy because you mentioned a lot of different people. At least for me, it's a lot, right? Because of what you do, you've met a lot of these different creatives. From my point of view, is just literally me that I've always liked. I'm a YouTube consumer, right? I watch so much YouTube, from podcasts to vlogs through freaking reels, TikTok, so on and so forth. I just love being creative, right? However, it's hard to find those creative people out there, right? Like all those people that you mentioned that they're here locally, I have no idea who they are, right? And that's the thing. I guess that was where my initial question was kind of leading to, that it's a lonely space, at least for me and Chilo, right? Because it's just like I can't relate to a lot of different people because let's say if I'm like, oh man, I'm going to shoot this, or do you like this type of content, to my friends, because they're just like, they can't relate to it, and right now you name so many different people. I'm like, man, I haven't met any of these people, and I was born and raised here in San Diego. It's just crazy. And the thing is, right now you were mentioning Barrio Logan. I grew up in Barrio Logan, right?
Wow.
But the thing is that I'm not sure what it is, man. I'm not sure if it's because I come from that neighborhood. At times, the people that know me from that neighborhood, they don't want to see other people coming from that neighborhood succeed.
That crabs in a bucket mentality.
Yeah, definitely, right? Because I've been in certain situations that I'm just, doing me, just relaxing, doing my thing, but then I'll get negative interactions because like, oh, he thinks he's this and that. But man, it takes so much work just to put content out on a regular basis, but they see it as a form of showing off, which is not even the case, man. I'm here grinding, man. I'm here trying to put in work. So that's been probably the only reason why I don't really go down in that area, because I come from the same neighborhood, that other people can take it in a sense that I'm showing off, but in reality, I'm just trying to make my dream become into reality,
Can I ask, like, when was the last time you were out there for anything creative?
Creative, man, it's probably been years. Yeah, it's been years. And I used to go to restaurants down there, but because of certain instances, I stopped going over there because I would get that type of interaction because I look like most of them, right? I look like somebody that comes from that neighborhood. I like to wear hats. I like to, try to be, I wouldn't say trendy, but I dress like some of them. Yeah. And for them, they'll be like, oh, look at this guy, right? And man, I'm just, it takes a lot of freaking work to do what we do on a regular basis, to be consistent, to have different content ideas. And that's the only reason why I stepped away from that, because a lot of the people that are in Barrio Logan, a lot of those people are still stuck in the old mindset, that they have nothing to lose, right? That they can, they can just, cause some sort of interaction with me and I can lose it all because I want to be at the same level and, I guess get him some sort of like bad interaction with him, that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stay away from that. Unfortunately, that's been my own story. Yeah. I would love to meet other creatives, right? And to have a very, very, I guess, good interaction, and I can go back into those places. But because of those interactions, even though I grew up there, I have a bad taste in my mouth because of that.
Now, I can see it. Like, that's definitely stuff that I experienced in the Bronx.
Have you?
Me?
Oh, okay.
Like coming back from college, like it just felt different.
Okay.
It felt different. And it wasn't necessarily like a hate or things, but like, I think people are just like, they forget that everyone's on their own journey. Yeah. You get me? Yeah. And I'm always the type of person that like, it doesn't matter how much time comes in between us. Whenever we chill, we're going to pick up where we left off. You get me? Because I respect your journey and I would hope that you respect mine. Right. You get me? Yeah, I've seen it here. You get me? Like and I don't want to put their stuff on things, but like we've, interacted with certain businesses in Barrio where like they've experienced those things. Oh, really? And like, from being outsiders coming in, you get me? Mm-hmm. And receiving the hate from like oh, like you just started this. How are you getting all this attention? How are you getting all this? I think no matter where you go, those things are going to come. Like, I think it's more so like, and this is the big part of like why I left the Bronx was just like a lot of where I was at was just like people struggling and like succumbing to that emotion and that reactiveness and feeling like they can't control where they're at. You get me? Feeling like they have a shitty day, so I'm going to make everyone else's day fucking shitty. You get me? You got dudes walking around mean mugging, just trying to prove who they are, where they are all the time. And like, I learned early on that like, if you just walk around with a smile on your face, like chances are like, ain't no one going to like start shit with you. You get me? Like, obviously if you're too cheesy, it's something little thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. Like, I would love to, I would love to show you some places out in Barrio that I consider to be like very strong creative communities. Like, I would love to introduce you to Manny and Claudia.
Yeah.
I think you guys could collab. Like, you could have her on your pod and she can have you on her pod. But yeah, like there is from every time I've been out there, it seems like and the community keeps getting stronger since the pandemic.
Yeah.
From creativity. Like every Sunday, all the businesses are out on the street. I don't know what street it's called. It's right along the highway, like right.
Yeah, it's Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like all the businesses are out there, like supporting one another, selling their things. You get me? It's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe. But I definitely I understand where you come from with that. Where it's just like. Just doesn't feel welcoming anymore. You know what I mean? It may just be one of those like hometown things where like you, in order for you to feel comfortable and not even you, but like in order for like you to find that space, like you might have to traverse elsewhere because you just have too much tied to the space already.
Right.
Like I take trips back to the Bronx and like, I love seeing where things are going. I love seeing that community is still being built. Yeah. But I also, I go past the bad neighborhoods and I still see dudes on the block just fucking like pressing everyone that walks by. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly what I mean, man. That's exactly what I mean. Like, bro, like I'm just trying to do better for myself. You know what I mean? Yep. Like I want you to be doing better for yourself. And the thing is that it's different types of mindsets that you'll find, and unfortunately you can't save them all.
Yep.
But it's been because of things like that have pushed me away from my upbringings, right? And that's the only thing, man. Like I think that stopped me from going back. I'm very, very proud that I came up from there, and I used to go always to the Chicano Park. They used to be always there because I'm like, I grew up here. This is where I'm from, my roots.
Yeah.
But then there's also the bad apples there that they don't want to see other people succeed.
Yeah.
Right. And because of those instances, I'm just like, nah, I'll rather stay away.
Yeah.
We've gone here and there, right, to have, breakfast and here or there, but I'm always like looking over my shoulder. Maybe I'm overreacting.
Yeah.
But you're going to see life as what you've experienced, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but I'm still up for it. I have to live life. It's not like I'm never going to go back, but I'm always going to be cautious.
Yeah. Can I ask, is San Diego the be-all, end-all for you? Have you ever had visions of yourself, like, being somewhere else? Because, like, Priscilla and I love being out here. I love being in America, but, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if my roots are going down here. Like, definitely some sort of business roots are going down here. But I'm not opposed to switching shit up.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to, going to somewhere where the sea level, where we're higher above sea level because, we're always at risk for another fucking flood or something like that. Or, even leaving America. Like, I'm not opposed to fucking going to New Zealand or, like, just seeing all these other places. Have you ever been abroad? That's a question.
What's considered abroad, man, to be honest?
Other country?
Out of the country?
Yeah, out of the country. And Mexico counts too, because I think it's just one. I mean, it counts because it's like, I think it's important to see that, like, while America so-called like invented what we think of as freedom, like other places are just as free as we are.
Right. Or even better, to be quite frank.
Fucking free healthcare. Like there's tons of places that are teaching us how to be better at what we've been
Right.
doing. You get me?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we just recently went to Utah,
Okay.
right? We went to Zion, and it was just a different vibe out there. Like where we stayed at, we were staying in this Airbnb, and it was very chill. It was a new complex, a new house, almost at the same price range as the house here, where we're currently paying off, and just brand new home. Everybody looked very, very chill. It was country style, and things like that really opened my mind into, we don't have to be forced to be stayed in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
And I hope that at one point that if YouTube hits, podcast hits, whatever, that we can literally create content from wherever we go.
Yeah.
I would love to stay in San Diego because I was born and raised here, but I'm not opposed to moving elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future has pretty much to offer us, but we'll see. As of right now, I pretty much got the house when I was very, very young.
Yeah.
So I'm in a place that I can be comfortable in, but I'm not opposed to move out.
Yeah.
How about yourself? You said you were thinking of moving closer to LA.
Yeah, just for business purposes to find, clients that could hopefully afford to start a show and be consistent with it. I will say, like, that's the one thing I've been finding it hard to like connect with in San Diego, and it's just like finding those customers that need what we are doing here.
Yeah.
And also, I'm still fine tuning the messaging of like how we talk about what we do and like
Right.
what we sell, because like a lot of it's very new. A lot of people think of video as like it needs to be post production, and they don't realize that like we got the ability to do all this stuff live.
Right.
You get me? You don't have to go live. They get scared of that word live. Like, oh, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to put myself out there. But like, they're not realizing that these benefits where it's just like, when we're done, you're good to go.
Yeah. So let's talk about the differences between the different clients that you currently have, so people can get an idea of like, oh shit, he does content for this type of people, these type of podcasts. That way they can have a broader range of who you're working with right now. You don't have to give names out there, but
So like the clients that we worked with in the past that are the most successful are people that have business goals.
okay.
People that have a service or a business that they're trying to push.
Okay.
So we've worked with like weed companies where we help them start a show around their product. You get me? We've worked with coaches where we help them, produce live content around their courses. You get me? Where usually it's like a podcast that's like a free snippet of what you can expect to see from the full paid course. You get me? And another thing that we're now getting into, which I want to explore more of, is like live events, live music, live comedy shows. The idea of like, like hitting Excel on everything that we're doing here in this space and allowing us to do it at a bigger scale where we can be at a live concert, and that TV can be a projector screen or a big screen that's like showing the audience like, this is what you're watching.
Yeah, so
this can be live streamed,
right?
but also
similar to a concert, right?
Exactly.
Where you see everything that's going on.
Yeah, so I want to start getting into that realm of work, and kind of unlocking higher paying gigs where I can afford to put a team together and like have people come with their equipment, where it's like, you come with your camera, you come with your wireless receiver, give me your transmitter, I'll put it over here. You get me? Type of deal. So yeah, that's kind of like what we look for. I mean, when it comes to like our lower tier package, like, so we have like a standard and a premium. Standard, we just go to you with our equipment. We would capture up to 3 angles, and you get your files. You get me? You'll get the stitch file, but you also get the individual files. And also we'll trigger anything you want. So like if you have an intro, like you just had an intro, we'll trigger your intro. If you have a logo, we'll put your logo on this side right here, so that you don't have to do that in post. And then we have our premium tier package, which is what I was explaining to you before that we've done with other clients. We're like, no, let's sit down. Let's figure out what your goal is. Let's figure out how to create a show around your goal. Let's create the intros ourselves. Let's create the lower thirds. Let's do the set design. Let's place things in a manner where you can make a business out of this, where you can like have, you can put an object in the middle of this table here and be like, hey, it's $30 to have your product there.
Right.
You get me? Let's build something out of this. And that's our more premium where we're hands-on, and I use all of my design experience from my past life.
Right. So I like that aspect that you just mentioned right now about, the business aspect of it, right? That if you do have some sort of somebody's product in place, that you can charge somebody to have that product in place. What other ways have your clients been able to monetize using your platform?
Yeah. So through doing things like that, through doing things like triggered ads. So like what I did today when I said my whole spiel, and like the whole lower third just pops out and shows you like, hey, you can scan this. That can be a certain charge. The same way we triggered your intro video. You could have a whole ad break in the middle of an episode and just have a whole video take over the space. And that's time. You get me? That's time that they can pay for. Other ways that you can do that by making money is building segments around things. So it's like, this episode is, this segment is sponsored by Don Julio. You get me?
Okay.
And you and I take a shot of Don Julio, and then we just go off of that. You get me? Like we're using their product in the thing. They can create those are clips. Those are moments right there. You get me? I can be like, oh, damn, this is really good. I've never had this before.
Right.
That's the selling point for them. You get me?
Yeah.
Other ways you can make money is just by going live. And like once you have the audience, once you have things all set up, you get super chats, you get the tips and all those things. And like you can use those super chats as a means to create segments around them where it's like, look, like I'm only going to be responding to comments from people that do super chats.
Yeah.
And you'll have like a whole segment of your show where we're just, let's listen to the audience. Let's have them come in.
Right.
You can provide them links to come on and join you live via Ecamm and put you side by side, or they could, on our side by side view here, they could be in the middle of us and we could be, asking them questions and things like that.
Nice.
So yeah, there's tons of ways to monetize content. There's
Right.
tons of ways to monetize a show. It's just about finding the right way based on what your goal is for doing a show in the first place.
Right. And out of those people that, for instance, like not sure if you can give maybe some sort of average of some of your clients that are going live out of doing maybe super chats. Do you know approximately how much they're actually profiting from going live?
Yeah. So again, it all starts slow. You know what I mean? It all starts low and slow. I will say, like, we had one client that they were going consistently live every Monday at a certain time, and within, I want to say, the first like 8 months, they've reached that 1,000 subscriber mark where they started to be able to make super chats. And then that's when we started to treat it a little differently. And we would only show comments that were super chats. It incentivizes more people to do super chats, because then they get a chance to dictate the conversation. They get a chance to leave a point, you get me, that is something that we're not talking about, something that we're missing, that they're seeing, and they can be a part of the show. And on average, with 1,000, so they had like 1,000 subscribers, each video is probably getting like anywhere from like 500 to 800 views at the time. I think now it's like more like around 2,000 views at the time. But yeah, they were making anywhere from like $100 to like $150 an episode. Yeah, I mean, obviously YouTube takes out of their pie, but I can only imagine how that number becomes exponential the minute your audience continues to grow.
Yeah.
You get me? And then what we're also seeing is that a lot of businesses are preferring to work with smaller audiences because they know that those audiences are tribes.
Yeah.
When your audiences are tribes, like, chances are when you recommend something, it's going to hold more weight. And also they're looking for, not only are they looking for creators with smaller audiences, but looking for creators that are actually using their products. Because someone that uses your product is going to talk about it differently than someone who isn't. You get me?
Yeah.
And when that person talks about their product and talks about it with their tribe, now their tribe, who's most likely more people like them, are more inclined to follow through with it. And they're seeing that they're getting better return on investment from investing in smaller creators with, maybe 100 subscribers, but they're getting 100 comments per video, rather than going to someone with 10,000 subscribers, but getting 5 comments per video.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no tribe happening there. There's no one talking. Like with that client I was talking about, like, there were times where people were having full conversations with themselves in the comments.
Oh, really?
You get me? Where people were like, oh, it's good to see you. Like, I'm enjoying the episode too. I'm at work today. Like, people form relationships with each other in your
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, I've seen that in live actually. That I have a friend that goes live on TikTok, even though if it's just like 5-6 people, but they're commenting and having a full on conversation in the comment sections, and they're like, "Hey, have you talked to so and so?" And then they hop on, and it's crazy to see, right? Eventually, that's something that I eventually want to build, but
You're on the path for it.
Tough,
You got
man.
people in your company. You've got a small community that you're building to get. Like, I don't know if you see
Yeah.
it, but like
Yeah.
in your content, there are people that keep showing up that are there.
Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy how that works, right? But it comes with consistency, you know. That's something that if I were to go live, I would for sure. Obviously, it's like anything; you need to find out what's the best time to post. Maybe how long the duration of the live footage to be going as.
Yeah.
Do you have the recipe for that, or based on your clients, do they choose a specific time frame?
No, I think it's one of those things that it's just like you need to be consistent to whatever you commit to. You get me? Like I always like use the Game of Thrones analogy, or even the recent Netflix did it, where it's like if you expect Game of Thrones to be on every Sunday at a certain time, stick to it. And if you don't, then you lose the chance of like holding on to that audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that I'm trying to establish a cadence of now, where it's like running a business, but also trying to do my content at the same time, where it's like I haven't been as consistent to a cadence that I want to be.
Right.
And now Priscilla and I are starting to lay down the groundwork of like, how can we do that? You get me? Because I can't guaranteed find someone for an interview at the same time, same
Right.
day every time. But it might mean that I have to like do podcasts solo by myself, and then, you know, build this audience for myself. And then I incentivize others as I get bigger to be like, oh no, I'll change my schedule for you. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think the recipe for success is just staying consistent to what you commit to.
Right.
Whether that is bi-weekly, once a month, every day, like just give yourself a reasonable goal of something that you can actually stick to and stick to it. And I think that partnered with micro content, as you know, micro content is the beginning of the funnel. That's how you find people. That's how people are aware of just like you. They see a couple of clips of you telling a joke and you make them laugh. Shit, I got to watch that podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got
Exactly.
to add that to my routine for the day.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's staying consistent to what you commit to, and then micro content is king.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely. I think we were just talking about this recently that, you know what, your loyal fan base or your lower viewers are the ones that are actually going to watch the full podcast, right? And those people that are just maybe here and there, they'll watch it. Those are the people that will watch the highlights, the reels, TikToks. And those people will only watch, for instance, comparing it to boxing, the knockouts, right? Just the reels, the highlights, right? And that's when you get the trolls, you get the random people showing up, commenting, whatever. But your loyal fan base will take the time to watch the full podcast,
Yep.
you know? But yeah, that's something that I feel like now I finally feel comfortable to having a schedule going around my content that we post on Wednesdays. That gives me enough time to, you know, edit throughout the week, to pick and choose the reels, TikToks that I know that they have the potential to take off. But it's taken me about, 8 months to kind of fine tune it, you know? But yeah, it's been a journey now. I feel like now that I have the podcast going on, and now I can have vlogs, eventually get back into doing artwork, and just I feel like I can be doing me as a person and just still enjoy life, doing my content, vlogs, podcasts, and just I want to have different avenues that I can target different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask, have you ever thought of like combining all of them? And like there's pros and cons to you know, staying separate and, you know, combining them all in one thing. I think one of the pros to combining them all in one thing is like you have one channel that is more active. You get
Right.
me?
Yeah.
Where people see all sides of Angel. You
Yeah.
get me? They see your interviews for Hoy NOMAS. They see even like if you choose to make like your one-offs with Cello like its own series,
Yeah.
they'll see that. If you choose to go live and do your paint thing, they see all of that and they kind of get like a full picture of who you are. And they can also expect like it's more of an incentive to follow a YouTube page because it's like, I'm going to get 3 episodes from this YouTube page. So like it's worth that subscribe.
Right.
Whereas when you separate it out, like you're building those specific audience for things, but now you're building 3 separate audiences. You get me? So it's just an idea. Like again, there are pros and cons to each one, because like there may be, you know, people that subscribe to you and just want to see your Oy No Mas, and every
Right.
time a live stream of you painting comes out, they're like, oh damn, I got hyped because it came from this channel, but like it's not what I want to see. So this it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, you know what? I think I like the fact that eventually, now that I'm gonna be able to fine tune the 3 separate types of contents, that I do kind of want to leave it just separate, right?
Yeah.
One, like you mentioned, the podcast, the interviews, that it is a longer format content that maybe they can feel or get a feel of who I am as a person, my mindset, my ideas, the different types of dialogues that I have with people, and if they want to know who I am or what I do, let's say whenever I'm out with maybe family or going on a vacation trip, that they can get a little feel of who I am outside of the podcast, right? Or whenever I want to be creative with artwork, at least that's my goal. If you want to see the different sides, go here, you know?
I forgot you got the vlogs. You do the vlogs as well. Yeah.
So that was my initial thing. I'm getting close to the 1,000 subscribers. So getting there, now it's time to uplift that channel. But it's crazy. It's the opposite. The vlogging channel, it's close to 1,000, but the viewership is down because I neglected that channel, right? Now the podcast channel, since it's long format, it's easier to freaking reach those 4,000 hours. I think I'm like 600 hours short right now. But since I just started it, now it's a matter of fact of building the subscribership, which I think I'm like halfway there. So I'm pretty close to getting monetized. You know? So we're almost there, man.
Congrats, bro. That's a feat in its own. And like, I think, you know, like we have certain clients that like are monetized and things like that, but like they don't really take advantage of those things.
Really?
So it's just like, you know what I mean? Sometimes there's money left on the table, but I think it's dope that like you have the right headspace around everything that you're doing. Like you're even doing the commercials for your pod. You're hyping them up. Like I think you're doing all the right things, and I think you're setting yourself up for like tremendous success.
Thank you. And we've received. I was just talking to Chella about this, that even though we've received some negativity because of those trolls, those semi-viral videos that take off, there's a bunch of trolls with a lot of negative, and it's crazy that people have this type of mindset to take their time to leave a negative comment. I just can't understand why people would want to do that, right?
But you made impact in their lives,
right?
You moved them enough that like they felt the need to give a piece of their energy, and to me, I think that's a win.
Yeah. At first, it was hard to intake, right? Because like, what the heck is this person, right? They would leave things that, you know, calling me a certain thing, or even Cello, right? But you're right. At the end of the day, with whatever we said or whatnot, they felt the need to put out a certain energy out because of what we put out, right? But now I see it in a way, it's just like, okay, let's continue doing our thing, you know, because out of all that negativity, there's certain people that are loyal or actually taking the time to watch the full podcast, that we're making an impact. We've received beautiful messages and comments that they're just like, hey, because of your podcast, this and this happened, or I got encouraged to do this. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think you mentioned before the podcast that I think it was your mom that watched our ayahuasca podcast. And for me, even that message within itself, it's beautiful that somebody like your mom would be interested in doing ayahuasca because of our episode, man. And for me, I feel with that message being delivered and received, is just a motivation to continue going.
Yeah. No, that's dope. And honestly, I think you guys, it seems like you guys have the right mindset to just, again, like blow by that other like noise. Like it's just noise that's proving you're successful.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
Definitely don't let any of it sit home. Like listen to the ones that are there watching it 100%. You get me? Like when they say something, yes, it matters because they're there.
Yeah.
You get me? But there's even going to get, you know, times to the point where like those people are going to start like, oh, I don't know if I like this one, and you just gotta like roll with it. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
you're in this journey, and like you're accepting that. Honestly, like I get scared because, I don't know how I'm going to react when those things happen. You get me? Like when we eventually get to that point of getting those negative comments, like, I don't know. Like I love doing this for others. I love giving other people the ability to put together a show and like not feel like they need a contract with Netflix or some big brand name to get the things that we're doing here.
Right.
You get me?
Right.
But I know that what comes with it is like it's a spotlight. It's a spotlight, and everything is being seen. And like I definitely want to be careful with the spotlight that I build, because like I'm gonna be bringing a child into this world, and I don't want his life to be ruined by something that I do. You get me?
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about these things of like, I don't know if I want to put my child out there like that.
Right.
Like he's going to see us doing all this stuff. Like he may be inspired to want to start a show of his own, but like, like that's a scary thought of like putting your child out there like that. And, I'm hoping, whatever way it goes, like I'll surround them with whatever they want to do. But I'm low-key hoping that like he's like anti whatever mom and dad do. Like I don't want to do that. Like like that. Like I just want to do my own thing.
And do you feel that it's a necessity to be in the spotlight, to be in front of the camera? You guys are already building shows for people. Do you feel that being in the spotlight is a necessity?
I don't think it is. I don't think the spotlight is a necessity per se, but I do believe that like where we are headed as a people, like I see the internet as a connected conscience between us all.
Yeah.
You get me? It is essentially a reflection of ourselves. And, I think I've told you, and I've said it in clips before, where it's like the one thing that the pandemic let me know was that nobody is safe. Nobody. The people that were the safest to me during the pandemic were people with established brands that weren't going to go away. You get me? So yes, I do see some sort of future where people are putting themselves out there, but I do see this stigma about it starting to die down. I see like it just becoming like so frequent, so like heavy that it's going to take a lot for one person to stand out and become a star like a The Rock or Kevin Hart. And like, you have to have that drive to be that person in the first place. But I do see a future where everyone is creating content around the way that they bring value to the world best. Yeah. Whether you are a cook, whether you are a baker, whether you are a painter, I see like social media as a part of our life. You get me? It's a way that we all connect with one another. So, I don't think it's going to be like everyone's going to be superstars, but I do see everyone having their own small little empire and using this as a form of documentation, as a form of just like journaling and keeping track of your life and your achievements and everything that you've done. Yeah, because that's essentially what we're doing right now. Yeah. We're documenting our lives. Right. So that we can look back on this and be like, wow, I came so fucking far.
Definitely.
And it helps the next generation move forward. You know what I mean? That's why books were there. That's why, you know what I mean? Like these things evolve. So yeah, I don't know if everyone needs to be a superstar per se, but I do see a space where like a lot of people are creating individually. And like, as things take over, as AI makes other things like easier to do, like a lot of these bigger businesses that have people like doing shitty, monotonous work, it's not going to exist anymore. And we're going to be at a time where like, where we might have to go back to trading for goods and things like that. Like it's going to be a crazy time whenever that does happen, if we ever do get to something like that. But like, yeah, I do see, social media as the means to like communicate yourself. And again, how you bring your value best to this world and to others.
Yeah. I actually shared the same post you shared yesterday, and pretty much refers to the same thing, right? That any business owner, anybody doing some sort of endeavor in life, that they should have a podcast or some sort of YouTube channels, whatever, because you need to promote yourself. You need to put yourself out there in comparison to, let's say, if you just post a picture of a house, let's say for real estate agents, if you just post a picture of a house, for sale, right? In comparison to this guy is putting himself, his thought process, his content, who he is as a person, you're like, I'll much rather go to this person that I can know what type of person or individual this person is, rather than going to this person that just posted a picture of a house.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I truly understand that aspect, and I'm with you. I think everybody should be posting, at least putting themselves a little bit out there so people can get a feel and understanding who they are as a human being, right?
Mm-hmm. I can see people doing it in smaller scales where it's just like talking about what they do and like building a brand of what they do as a means to get a better job.
Yeah.
Like if you're a designer and you design something a specific way, like use social media as a way to sell what you specialize in. And now you have a portfolio of work that you can apply to new jobs with. You get me? Like, it doesn't have to be you starting your own business.
Yeah.
And one thing that like Gary Vee, I think he said like in 2020, like as AI and these things take over, like there's going to be less and less, like, let's be real. Like we're all trying to get rid of screens. We're all trying to like have less screen time and interact with each other more. And technology is really going to start doing that, especially as things start to become more augmented and we have holograms, and like Apple's Vision Pro gets to see its grand future of what it is, which is like glasses that overlays information from your face. Like there's going to be less time for people to actually scroll through your page and see what you are. And if you didn't have a brand by that time, your business is left up to whatever Siri or Alexa recommends to you. And they're only going to recommend to you the best of the best. If you want a cake, they're going to get Maria's Cake Shop down the block. Why? Because her fucking social media is popping.
Yeah.
They're not going to point to Joe Schmo's Cake Shop. You get me? If you don't have a social presence by then. And it's a scary thing. You get me? Like you have to have some sort of social presence.
Yeah.
And I mean, and everyone can say like what channel to do, where like there's so many things out there, but just some social presence.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think it's been the toughest, I guess, aspect for you to being in front of the camera or being in the spotlight rather than just helping other people build out their shows?
Could you repeat that?
So what's been the toughest, I guess, aspect of being in front of the camera, being in the spotlight? Do you feel like it's just time? Do you feel it's just being creative with it? Or
I think it's time. I think it's expectations. I think it's like wanting to be like something you see and not wanting to, take what you see and make it your own. Okay. I see a lot of people that, we've worked with people that they want to create a clip because they saw a clip a certain way. Yeah. So they want to talk to the camera and do the whole sham wow thing and talk with their hands and shit like that. It's not for everybody like that. You get me? I think the best way to, operate in front of the camera is to say things in your own words. Yeah. You get me? A lot of people sometimes they have like a script and stuff. And like, if you're good at reading a script, then go for it. Yeah. You get me? But for me, I like to have bullet points to know that like, all right, I just got to talk about these 3 subjects, and however it comes out of my mind, it comes out of my mouth is how it hits, because you're more as likely to connect, with those words as you say them in your own words. Yeah. You get me? Yeah. And you're not just trying to read something word for word.
Yeah, rather than actually having a script, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about, those people that they're posting reels or TikToks, right? Mm-hmm. But they're looking away from the camera, but they're not talking to anybody. Oh man,
it's a little cringy. But
I don't like that, man. I don't like that.
They're not looking at someone, but like how do you know anyone else doesn't know that they're not looking at someone?
That's where I was going. I think I was talking to Chelo about this, right? Because the message is good. I'm like, man, that's dope. And even I've liked some of them, or at times I've even shared it, and that's when I'm like, that's interesting. I'm getting that feel or engagement of wanting to share with somebody because I'm like, they got the message I've been wanting to portray or give to certain people. Mm-hmm. But at times I analyze it, man, this guy's not talking to anybody.
Have you ever like looked for like the full episode of where that clip is from?
Yeah,
and you'd be like,
there's no full episode, right? Yeah.
The worst is the people that make their backdrop look like someone else's backdrop. So they'll make their clip backdrop look like they're on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh, really?
But they're not talking to Joe Rogan. Would never fucking have them on their podcast. Like, that's fucking slimy. But it's smart. It's creative. Like, I understand what they're doing there. You get me? Like,
So how do you feel about that?
it's nothing I wouldn't, want my client to do, and I would advise them against, because you're not creating that long form to capture them and sell your service. You're just literally creating a clip to push people in a funnel and buy random shit or do random things. But I have to, I respect the creativity behind it. I respect the problem solving to it. Like, it's fucking genius. Like, it makes sense.
Right.
You would never in a million years be invited on Joe Rogan's podcast, but that don't mean I can't throw a green screen behind me and make it look like I'm there.
Or you know what? A lot of people make a viral or trending audio out of it, right? You say something motivational, you add a little bit background music behind it, and people want to share it or create reels with that same audio, right? You say something motivational like, we have 4 months left for the year. What are you going to be doing with your life? Blah, blah, blah. You say it's X thing, right? You'll add the music behind it. Then next thing you know, somebody's going to want to use that same audio and create a reel and hoping that you go viral with it, right?
Yeah.
And they do it with that intention for people to reuse that audio. So at times I do find it cringy, like, this guy's talking to nobody. And I dislike it for that same reason, because it's not organic. But it works. Yeah.
I do love the ways when, like, people take that trending audio and they use it as a means to, like, shine a light on something that they're doing. You know, like, they bring it to their expertise and, like, how they bring value. Like, I've seen creative ways where people take those templates and, like, it's cool because it matches your thing, and it kind of matches the need for, like, those people who are afraid to put themselves out there. You get me? It's like, I'd rather use this voice and slowly get myself into content creation rather than putting myself out there. You get me? And it's like, it's a slow build. They're building that confidence. One of those things pick up and, they see a comment. I want to hear how you got this. I want to hear what you have to say about this. And it just opens the door for them to do it themselves, where they slowly realize, like, damn, I've been using all the same person's, like, things. Like, let me try narrating myself, where I don't have to put myself on camera.
Right, exactly.
And then slowly but surely, like, someone catches a reflection of them in the mirror, like, oh, you have a nice face. Like, why don't you put yourself on camera more? And, like, it just slowly starts to drip feed. So I respect the creativity for those things. I respect using them creatively. But yeah, there's so many businesses and things out there that are just, like, trying to find the next trends and just pushing money at them and trying to just,
Definitely. Yeah. How much time do we have right now? Hour 16. Oh, okay, cool. Usually I'm able to look at the Zoom and I'm able to kind of, like, know where we're at.
So that's something that we tend to do. Like, we'll have, like, an iPhone to the side where, like, you see a timer and, like, things like that, just so you're aware. In this case, like, if you were doing it with Chella, like, she would be able to, like, maybe she knows, like, you want to be at an hour. So, like, I'm going to raise my hand at 45 minutes so that you got 15 minutes left and it's time to wrap up.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
And have you done episodes, or for you guys' episodes, when you guys do, I forgot the name of your content, when you guys do your guys'...
This wasn't planned.
This wasn't planned. When you guys do that, who's controlling the
Either one of us. Usually her.
Really?
But, like, because with the Stream Deck and, like, any other device, the Stream Deck isn't the only thing that does that thing. Like, there are tons of other manufacturers and companies. You could technically do it on your keyboard with just, like, command 1, 2, 3 to change scenes and things like that. Stream Deck just makes it a lot prettier.
Nice.
But yeah, she could have the Stream Deck on her and she'll be able to switch. I have one at home that's, like, 3 foot pedals, and it's just on the bottom, so I can, like, assign it to, like, 3 different cameras, and I can just, like, crazy. If she's talking and she forgot to switch the camera to her, I'll switch it to her camera.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean?
So do you guys just put it, like, in the middle or something? Or?
Yeah, so I'll put the foot pedal by me. She'll have that thing in her hand. There'd be times where, like, if you set up the Stream Deck to the way that you like it, you got your finger on the buttons, and you kind of play it like an instrument. You kind of know, like, what to do, how to switch, where to go. You get me? And then having the visual preview like we see here, like, it just makes it easier for you to know that you're on track.
Right. So let me ask you this. When you guys have released content for you guys' own platform, even though it's already pre-recorded and you guys do have that extra footage that you can, I guess, overwrite and edit it, do you still look over it before posting, or you guys just post it?
I'm getting to the point where I'm just posting. I'm honestly... I think our last podcast on what I told you is, like, I want to start doing things live.
Okay.
Like I want to stop making myself the middleman of just like overthinking it and just like it's one of many episodes. You get me? I'm not even at 100 yet. So like let's get to 100 and let's figure out what the people like, and then let's start to like figure out how we can continue to produce live content the way that people like it and the way that people are gonna resonate with it. And let's just get it done, because like I told you, and like you know very well, micro content is key. I would rather spend the time making that micro content. And honestly, I'm trying to figure out ways to get more smarter about that. You get me? Because there are ways to flag the footage in Ecamm where like she can hit a button every time she thinks there's a clippable moment. And at the end of it, you'll get like a text file with all those timestamps of every time you press that button. And now you're just one leg up to making those clips a little faster.
Can you click that button right now? Honestly, I didn't know that. That's dope.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's already like, you already know that, hey, you know what? I want to reshare this one.
Yeah. But you can even do that. You know, we can do that ourselves, where it's just like, this is something I used to do with past clients, where it was just like, they used to say this, oh, clip that.
Oh,
and we would use those as like virtual, like, because we use a tool called Descript to edit video here, and it transcribes the file for you. So I just searched for every time they said clip that, and I clipped that.
Nice. So they were just going on with their content, and they knew.
Yeah, like you get an idea of like what moment is like a clippable moment, and like you can gamify it as a part of your show, where it's just like, you know what, fuck, I need to take a shot for that. You get me? And now you know every time you took a shot, that's a clippable moment.
That's smart. I like that.
Yeah,
that's freaking dope, man. You know what? Because right now, I'm gonna be quite honest, for my vlogs, we have an editor now, right? Which that's the only way to freaking do things now. Just similar to what you're saying right now, to just releasing this episode like pretty much as pre-recorded, right? Part of me, because of me wanting like, oh, let me see how it looks and whatnot, I kind of want to look it over. But at the same time, as you mentioned, this is only one of many, right? This may or may not be my best. Who knows, right? Maybe it's going to resonate with another content creator that listens to this. And for them, it's going to be super, super useful to have this content being put out. For other people, they're just going to scroll by through it, and who knows, right?
Yeah.
But it's us, as we're creating this content right now, that we're probably the ones only overthinking it, right? Part of me for this one, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to look it over. But part of me as an experiment, just I'm going to release it, you know? And I think this is going to be the route that I'm going to take. I'm just going to release it and just let us do its thing. Obviously, I'm going to have to look it over. I think I'm going to have to look. Yeah, I had to look it over because for the micro. But at the same time, what I'm going to do is just upload it to YouTube. And I'm going to try a different route. I'm going to try to upload it to YouTube and just have timestamps so I can send over to the editor, just rather than me clipping them.
Yeah.
Because right now, so you can have an understanding of how I do things. When Cello syncs the audio and the video, right, I look it over to see if I like this camera angle or if I would rather have the camera focus on the other person.
Yeah.
I'm fine-tuning it, putting the subscribe button here and there. And that's when I'm just creating a subsequence and pulling a reel here. I literally crop him out and send it to the editor. So I'm taking the time to do that. For this one in specific, rather than me doing that and taking the time, I'm going to upload it to YouTube and just listen to the podcast. And when I listen to something that I like, I'm just going to be pretty much writing down the timestamps, sending those timestamps to the editor. So now with this, and now doing this new format, it's in a way taken away from me sitting down in front of the camera, the computer, and having to crop those out and sending them out through Drive or Dropbox or whatnot. So I'm excited to go down this route, because whatever time I'm able to save for myself, man, I'm willing to do it, man. I'm willing to do it. I'm trying to delegate as much as possible. Part of me still wants to keep that and look over the footage, but as you mentioned previously, man, you just have to release things at times. Maybe you're not going to perform the best as you would like, but you move on and you pursue pretty much you move on to the next episode, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it might even like allow you to produce more episodes
Yeah.
and produce more micro content and get you to that point where, you know, like Mr. Beast is allowed to like spend as much time on a video now because he knows what makes success. You get me? Like
Yeah.
he has that audience that are looking for something specific. I think when we're just starting out and building an audience, like this is our time to learn. So it's just like, why, you know, beat yourself up about small little things when you're like still on double digit numbers? You get me? Like get to episode 100.
Yeah.
Get the people there. Get the people expecting something, and then you have something worth like sitting down with and being like, you know what? I'm gonna, you know, like I got a team now. You get me? Like this is the content we do, so it makes sense to like be, you know, that much more attentive to those details. But for just starting out, like everything's a drop in a bucket, and it's just gonna, you know, add on from there.
Were you battling yourself with doing that, or with just releasing things?
Yeah. I am still. That's a lesson I'm still learning today. You get me? Like I oftentimes want things to be perfect because I've seen us do sets and designs and like things where like we leave and like they don't have to do anything to it. You get me?
So let me ask you this: when you've overlooked footage that's already been pre-recorded because of your guys's, I guess, way of shooting the podcast, everything, I guess, live, right? Because of the clicker or whatnot. What's been that one thing that you look over and you're like, man, I just didn't like this? Is it something, maybe the way that you say certain things, the way you look, the way you have the camera focused? What's been your biggest struggle of like, fuck, if I would have re-edited this, I would have changed this?
Yeah, I think it all, I mean, everyone's always going to be like subconscious about the way that they look or the way that they come off on camera. Like that's, you know, that's something that I need to like solve and like fix myself. I think what I often sometimes kick myself over is just like having the attention to detail in regards to like making sure that I have all the overlays ready and triggered to go, making sure that like, you know, for instance, I just switched up my set in the house and like I did a podcast with someone the other day and I totally forgot, like I used Aperture Minis, but I totally forgot to turn on all the other color lights that I have in my apartment. You get me? So just like little things. And I think that's ways in which we want to start helping others and like preparing guides for like how to produce live and like providing people like a checkbox of like, check, everything's done. Okay, cool. We're ready to record live and reap the benefits of just knowing that when we're done, it's all done.
Yeah.
You get me? So yeah, it's little things like that, like not having a camera on and maintaining that consistency of quality that I know I'm capable of and that I'm going to see. But like everyone else, like you said, when they see it, they're like, oh, damn, this looks fucking amazing. Like,
right.
98% of what's on YouTube is like people on like shitty, you know, webcams and like just fucking, you know, one camera angle and like, you know, and then when they make their micro content, it's just like they crop all the way in on that one camera angle and it's like their blurry selves, captions and things like that. Like, and that's what I meant by like, you know, you were saying before, like we do this pro, but like you're still doing things pro in your own vein. You get me? Like how you come across on YouTube, you look better than 98% of what's out there. You get me? So definitely don't sell yourself short and only use this process if it allows you the freedom to like look at content differently and you can get more out of the content that you put out there. You get me? Now that you know, learn this and are starting this path, like everything that you do here can be live. You get me? You can start streaming you painting live and, you know, doing these things where you don't necessarily have to be present in front of the camera the whole time, but like you're still providing value to others in like them being able to see how you work. You get me? You can be going on Artlist and creating like freaking playlist of free licensed free music that you could just have on in the background while you sip whiskey and paint. You get me?
That's interesting. It's endless of different opportunities and avenues that you can take this, I guess, form of content creating with this pretty much setup that you guys have. Yeah. I'm honestly blown away. The quality of it looks dope, but the different possibilities that it can provide, I'm super stoked over it. So.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't even totally forgot that we had this wire down there set up. Like if I was to plug in my iPhone there, like she could bring up my iPhone screen and we could scroll through, TikTok or Instagram, or I could FaceTime someone and Bluetooth connect to your phone like you did earlier and just talk to someone. Yeah. There's so many ways that you can mix and match and make content more engaging using a live production workflow.
Yeah.
So
definitely. I think overall, just with everything out of each episode, you learn something new, right? No matter what. And just, it's a journey. It's a journey at the end of the day. It's just, you know what, you learn as you go. Maybe you're going to get hatred through those Reels, TikToks that take off. It is what it is. But each time you try to, whatever you learn, you apply it for the next episode and you take it from there. As you mentioned previously, at the end of the day, you're documenting your journey, right? And you go back and be like, man, I can't believe I used to talk like that. I can't believe I used to think this way, or I said this back then, but look at where I'm at now, you know? So at the end of the day, for the people that are very interested in, using your guys' product, your guys' services, I think this is amazing. As mentioned, this one in particular, I'm not going to touch. I'm very scared in a way that I'm like, man, I don't have any control over it, but I want it to be that way, I wanted to let it do its thing, and I want to hear different people's feedback. Yeah. So
dope.
Cool. Dope. Any final words you would want to leave behind? Maybe something that you haven't plugged, that way people know what you're currently working at, or whatever you want to say, man. This is your spotlight.
Yeah. So currently we're working on consulting and helping people build out studios of their own. And I just wanted to say thank you again for inviting us out here and allowing us to, guinea pig and work this shit out. You get me? And kind of, showing the benefits of going live. So thank you. I really want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to just come in your space and show you how we do things. But yeah, we're going to start going into consulting. I want to start doing classes probably over at Hendo Studios in Kearney Mesa. It'll probably be $100 for a 3-hour session, maybe 15 to 20 people. And also, if you are a business and you have the means and the budget to build a live show around your service or expertise, go to bookalivestudio.com, book a discovery call, and we look forward to hearing from you and, figuring out how we can make something of quality without necessarily needing that whole Netflix budget. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that I'm working on now. Just, out here trying to make this dream come true, trying to pay these bills. But yeah, man.
And for the people that are interested in all the things that you guys use, you just created, a PDF file, right?
Yes, I created a free PDF equipment list that goes over everything that we use for Ecamm. We can link that below in the description. I think we might have triggered it earlier in the episode. But yeah, it's a free PDF that literally is partnered with a video. I go over different price ranges for things, whether from all the way from your laptop to even camera options, and all the wires and accessories in between. And yeah, we're hopefully going to be getting to a point where we start doing guides, like I was just saying right now, checklist guides and things like that, where we can kind of charge for those things and hopefully make them nominal, $10, you get me? For someone to just come in and be exposed to our workflow. And hopefully, you get me, if we provide value and they're able to do it themselves, more power to you. That's what I want. I want everybody to be able to do this. But if, they figure out that it's not for them and they can't be a one-man band or one-man shop, then come to us, hire us. This is our expertise. This is what we love to do. So yeah, my bad. I'm over here looking at you. Come to us. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. Thank you, man. Yeah. Thank you for having us. Thank you for allowing us into your home, into your space.
Yeah. Chris, Priscilla, thank you so much. On the contrary, I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time being here. As if you don't have any further messages, you're good to go.
Yeah.
As I always like to say, it's a greater risk and not taking a risk. Until next time.
Sure, we got to do your like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.